Alright guys, this is one of the big ticket items I bought. This was even more money than the rotary table. And this is an item that I was kind of like, I consider it the Cadillac of this type of item. And so I was dreaming about getting a really good deal on one of these for my milling machine. And I already have one for my milling machine, but it's not this brand, and it's definitely an older one. So this was something that, you know, if the opportunity arose and I could snag a deal on one, I would snag one. And then I talked about an industrial auction, an online auction that happened, oddly enough, in the same town where I bought this one, even though this didn't come from that auction. And I couldn't touch any of those. There were several of these identical models, and they all went for $250 or more. I think some of the ones that were really beat up and in bad shape even brought $175, $200 plus a buyer's premium. Yep, I got myself a Kurt I got myself a Kurt Vise. Even this long after I bought it, I'm still excited. Can't even speak. This is a D675, so it's not the I think it's an 875 is the really big one, or 685. I don't remember how these work. But he had two of these, and then he had a third vise, which was kind of dark in that area, and I couldn't really see. And it was either a much older Kurt or it was just a no-name milling vise, but it was the same style as this, but it didn't have any blue on it. And I think some of the really early Kurts might have not been this blue color. But anyways, he had two of them side by side on the floor next to the milling machine, and they were both in really good condition, and this one looked like it was in the better condition of the two. So without a doubt, I know, because we talked about it and talked about the vise, I know I gave $150 for this vise, and I'm very happy with that. It did come with a handle, and you'll notice the handle appears to have been broken and re-welded. But the owner, the guy's father-in-law, whose shop it was, he, before I even said anything to him, he pointed it out to me, and he wanted to explain himself, because both of the handles for both of the vices were done the same way. He purposely cut and re-welded these to shorten up the handle, because he showed me that on that mill, he got tired of when he would move the table back, that this would impinge on something on the mill. I forgot what. Maybe the apron, I don't know. So he got tired of that, so he shortened up his handles, and it doesn't really bother me too much, so I'm fine with that. But it works smooth as glass. I don't know enough about these vices yet to tell you exactly whether or not this is like missing anything or what it has for accessories. I can see there's a jaw on the back here that clearly can, well, this is a stop. So I don't know whether or not, like, when you buy the vise bare, does it come with this? And then there's this like jaw here. There's a slight rub there, nothing too bad. There's this jaw, got a couple of miscues on it. One drill hole right there, that's shallow. And there's a little defect there. But I think I did really well on that vise. So I just tightened up the shot a little bit so you can see there's a damage right there on that corner. And then little nicks here and there. But for the type of precision that I'm going for, this is going to be the cat's meow for sure. And I could have had the other one for $150 and probably turned around and sold that one. But the problem is shipping these things. This thing's heavy. I mean, I'm out of breath from just carrying it over here. And I'm not looking forward to putting it back down low somewhere. I'm going to see if I can find a spot up high to store it for now. So right now I've got a Bridgeport, genuine Bridgeport old milling machine vise to go with the wells. So that's, I guess I'm going to put that on the market. Probably not going to get a lot for that, but somebody's looking for a vise. Might give me, I don't know, 75 or 100 bucks for that one. And then out in the tent, rusting away, so it's probably going to look really nasty by the time I get around to bringing it in and cleaning it up, is the original Brown and Sharp vise that I got for free as part of that deal for scrapping the old number 2 Brown and Sharp mill. And that's also a swivel-based vise. So that's a, you know, if I hadn't left it out there to rust, it would have been actually a pretty nice vise too. But you know, the thing's heavy. All right, with the vise at 150, that brings us to 350 even. So to get to the 430, the last item that I bought has to be worth at least 80 bucks to me. And it's actually worth more than 80, far more than 80 bucks to anybody, really. But it's heavy. It's the heaviest item of the lot. It's even heavier than that vise. So I've got it sitting over there on the corner shop floor, and I'm just going to bring the camera over there and we're going to look at it right there where it sits. Oh, hold the phone, guys. I just realized I forgot about this item. This was down underneath the shelf in the back over near the, there was actually a second milling machine there. It was a mill drill. I think it was a Jet or an MSC. It was one of those Taiwanese made mill drilling machines. Great for hobbyists and that. I forgot what they got on that. I think they went $2 grand for that. That milling machine is also sold through, it's like another version of that sold through Grizzly, and then there's a version sold through Harbor Freight of all places. The Harbor Freight one new was 1,200 bucks, and if you get one of those super coupons, you probably get it for around $1 grand. So, you know, I don't foresee them selling that anytime soon, especially since just last week I went to a yard sale where the guy had some machinist stuff, and he had one of those mill drills in the basement. That one was a real genuine, they weren't trying to like pawn it off as anything other than Taiwanese. That one said like Fong Wu on it or some weird name. But if you look at it, it was identical to like the Jet one that I saw. It was identical to the MSC one I saw. It was identical to like the Grizzly one I saw online, and it looked identical. So I think those all come out of the same plants over there. They were all basically using the same blueprints to make these things. So anyways, next to that table down underneath there was some stuff, and way in the back I reached in and I dug out this. So those of you who've seen my earlier videos on the flea market finds and everything know that I already acquired one of these for like I don't know, 35 bucks or somewhere around there. And I had to take it apart and clean it just to free it up because it had sit for a long time, but it was in excellent shape. And that one was a Uesa, which is a good Japanese brand. This one, I haven't figured out what this is yet. I gave 20 bucks for this, I figure. So that makes it 370. So now my final item only has to be $60. And we'll get to that in a moment. So this is really dirty, so I haven't been able to see who makes it. Unfortunately, the only thing I could see wrong with it, it's not really wrong, is that the protective cap, and I looked all around for it, the protective cap that screws on and protects these threads. These threads are so you can spin a chuck onto this, and this is a collet closer, for those of you who don't know what this is. It's 5C. Basically you put your collet in here, you turn this knob to tighten it up to a certain point where when you get to the correct point, when you flick this lever over, it will lock whatever's in the collet in there. And then this handle right here moves out and down. That's right, you're going to release it with this lock here. Pull this, and then I'm going the wrong way, guys. That's the problem. Alright, so it's up. So you pull this over to release, and there you go. So every time I pull this up, it's going to move a certain distance. And what regulates how much that moves, that's regulated by which of these pins, these little screws right here, are backed all the way out or backed in. So you can, basically you can do, it's kind of like having, remember this little collet block set I talked about way back? Well, imagine having a collet block set that had blocks with so many different sides on them, and you had a huge set. That's what you could basically recreate that effect with this. If I set this so that it's got 6 stops equidistantly set, I'm going to get this effect right here. But I can also do a whole bunch of other different variations. So this is a very nice tool, and this is called a horizontal vertical because you can clamp it down to the table like this. You could put an arbor in it, and you can get a tailstock to support the other end of the arbor, and you could put a gear blank on here, and you can cut a gear blank, for example, things to do. Then another operation, if you want, you can put it vertically. So you could put this on your table vertically and have a chuck on there and hold maybe a plate, if a small disc, and put a equidistant center of holes on the outside of the plate, outer edge of the plate, or something like that. I'm just thinking on the fly here, trying to figure out what the heck an example would be to use. But I can't find a maker on this thing anywhere. So we go on the assumption that this is a no-name cheapo, because most of the stuff in this guy's workshop tended to lean toward that. Well, he did have the Kurt Vise, and the palm grin was probably something old he picked up somewhere. Oops, shouldn't do that. Alright, so what I was thinking when I saw this and I first started to pull it out, and I began to get excited, because my first thought was, wouldn't it be sweet if this was a hard hinge? The hard hinge is the Cadillac of these 5C vertical horizontal collet indexers. So unfortunately, I don't think it's a hard hinge, because maybe somebody can correct me on this, but I think if it was a hard hinge, it would probably have a data plate right on it indicating to the world that it was in fact a hard hinge. And I don't see any markings on this whatsoever to tell me who makes this. Now it is pretty dirty, so maybe, just maybe, yeah, I'm not the first person who tried pushing this down and forcing it. The stop pin is bent, but other than that, looks like it's in pretty good shape. So when I have some more time, maybe I'll clean this up a little bit more. It's got a black wrinkle finish to it. I just spun this all around, hoping that maybe once somewhere on that wheel it actually had the maker's name. Nothing. Alright, well, I can leave that there for now, because like I said, the last item is not coming up here. So there it is, guys. There's the bargain right there. What you're looking at is a Phase 2 super spacer. A super spacer basically is a large version of that thing I was just showing you. Only instead of using collets, you can mount a pretty good sized chuck on there. And as you can see, it's got a chuck on there. The chuck that's on there, it's got reversible jaws. It's in excellent shape. Other than some paint rubbed off here and there are no major signs of damage on the thing. Unfortunately, there was no tailstock. The tailstock was an option when you bought it, so either whoever bought this originally didn't buy the tailstock with it, or somewhere along the line the tailstock got lost. But he had a photograph of this up with the other stuff, and I told him it was one of the things I was initially interested in. And we talked about the plates, and how if it didn't have any plates to go with it, then unfortunately it really devalued it, because when you went online and started buying all the individual plates that were missing, it could get kind of expensive kind of quick. So prior to my visit, they knew that I'd be interested in the super spacer and be willing to pay more for it if they had the plates. So the son-in-law contacted the father-in-law and told him, and said, prior to my visit, see if you can find these plates. The chuck, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plates. And it turns out, I think there's one in there now, so I think that's 7. I looked up online, and it turns out that's originally what this set came with. It's got the full set of plates and the chuck. that's a hell of a deal I got on that thing. Funny thing was, as soon as I didn't know, I knew that it needed some sort of plates to do the indexing, but I had no idea exactly what the plates looked like on one of these. And lo and behold, when I got there and I saw the plates, I said to myself, where have I seen something like this before? And then it occurred to me, that large tooling lot that I bought a few weeks ago at the tool store, there were 2 of these plates in there of different size. One was a large diameter, so it came off a big super spacer, and I think it had a number 8 on it and had 8 notches in it. And then there was one that was like larger than this but smaller than the other one. No, it might have been this size actually, and it had 3 on it, I think, and it had a number 3 on it. Those were, so I thought that they were spacers for putting large cutters on a big milling machine, and it didn't occur to me what the heck they were until as soon as I saw these. I was like, oh, okay. Those are a couple of plates that I can now sell on eBay since I know what they are. I just don't know what manufacturer they're for. Matter of fact, I just grabbed them now for the heck of it, and it turns out it looks like this smaller one looks like it might be for this same one, because it's got this pin. Although, no, the diameter of that pin is larger than this pin. So it's very similar to this. Very similar to this. And then the larger one, this is an 8 position plate. This is a horse of a different color. This has got this little locking tab that sticks in somewhere. So I'm going to have to look online and maybe I can identify. At the very least, if I put the name of a couple of different super spacer manufacturers in the title, then I can put in the body of the text description, I can explain that I don't know what these go to. And then somebody will probably be able to spot it. This is interesting because this is number 8 is spelt out with letters, as opposed to like on this one, which I think is well, this one though is spelt out with a 3. The phase 2 ones, well, the phase 2 ones aren't even marked. So I guess you're supposed to do your own math there and count. Oh, duh, there's 4 slots. There's 2. Well, how about a large one like that? They're not even going to mark that for you? That's kind of surprising. Alright. Well, I gotta get going. So I'm going to wrap this up right here. But that was my that was one of my big buys in August. So obviously, not obviously. Why would I say obviously? It wouldn't necessarily be obvious to anyone. Dummy. And the